Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to today's live stream where I will be making an effect where these claws will leave actual scratches on the surface. So I've been wanting to make this effect for a while, on and off, and I thought, you know what, I think I can do it in an efficient way today. So let's go and try it. So first of all, I'm going to do a little, well, not linear, but a quick animation of these claws scratching across the surface. I want to make sure that starts and ends outside of the plane. Let's go and move these over here, rotate it, and then as we can see, those go along and scratch the surface at one point. I think that's a little bit, here, let's go in, there we go. We can have them do that, and then they go along. You know, something very basic, no fancy animation, just 3 keyframes, and that is it. Okay, now that we have that set up, let's go and start the geometry nodes process. So, let's go and add in a new plane. Let's also save the file. I'm going to be saving the file quite often because 4.2, which is the current version of Blender that I'm using, has been rather unstable in my experience. There is a Blender 4.2.1 version coming out, which hopefully will fix a lot of the issues, but just erring on the side of caution for now. Okay, now that we have a geometry node object like this, we're going to go and reference an object. So let's take the first claw, plop that into there, and what I want to do is take the location and rotation, or the transform. Actually, yeah, the transform would work very well in here. I'm not quite used to using the transforms in my work yet because quite often I'm not using 4.2. I'm still, for like professional work and stuff, I'm using the older versions. But yeah, let's go and use that one. And what we want to do is have one singular point that's in this location, but the actual geometry node space is in global space, and then it does a raycast and sees if it hits the object, and if so, we will add a trail to that particle, and then mesh that trail, add some displacement so that it looks like metal that has been scratched, or something along those lines. So, let's go and try this out. So we want one singular point, because we'll have one object per trail, or per scratch slice trail. So let's do that, and then we plug in the location into there, so we should see. And there have been just some lag spikes. Like today when I was setting this up, there would just be like a few, like a second lag spikes every so often. I'm just assuming that's a quirk with 4.2 that'll be fixed. But yeah, here we have that, and that works out pretty well. And then we want to do a raycast. So this will be pretty simple. Let's just move this over here, organize it just a little bit. Now we want to bring in our collision mesh. So in this case, we have the collision surface. We'll bring that in as a collection. That should all be fine. Realize the instances so that it can be target geometry. And now we need to get the ray direction. Fortunately for us, that is very simple. We need to use a rotate vector. Which one is it? Ah, yes, it is that one. And we want this pointing, I believe, in the positive... Actually, wait. The positive Y direction. Let's do that and have the rotation be put into there and connect that into there. Now, that should give us a collision point from the origin of the claw object to the plane. So let's use a set position node to see if that is actually working. And as we can see, it 100% is. As it goes along, that happens, but there's a slight issue, which is, well, if there's nothing to hit, it just resets to 0, 0. But fortunately, we can make it so that, well, that's just not an issue, because we can just go and delete the geometry if there's nothing there, which will work very nicely. Okay, so that is our setup for just getting the raycast and collision point and all that good stuff. So now, that's the easy, well, yeah, that's a fairly easy part. Let's see if I can organize this in a bit of a better way. Nah, I think that's the best way I can do for now. So let's just go and put that into a frame. And I can add this to the other claws, which I think I should probably do right now. Wait. Why is it not colliding? Oh, wait. I need to make it so that if it did not hit, then it deletes. I overlooked that one thing. Okay, so that should be good now. Let's go and take another look at the animation. Yep, we can see that that point is being pointed in the correct place. Okay, now let's copy this object 3 times and assign one for each claw parts. So what we want is a group input. And then we want that group input to be different for every single object. So one will be claw, another one will be claw 1, and this one will be claw 2. So now we can see with that group input, that now makes it so that any changes that we do will apply to everything there, but it'll be per each claw part. So that's that. Now what we want to do is get a simulation zone so that we can trail this particle, or at least track where the particle went. So this will be a ray cast. There we go, and then we want a simulation zone, which for this part, it's fairly simple because we just need to join the new points into there, and as we should see here, there we go, we can see that the points actually track, which there is one other caveat that I need to do, which is that I need to get the accurate distance for how big the claw part is, because as we can see right here, it's not working out too well. Fortunately, we can't just do the ray length to say, oh, how long's the claw, and if it's outside of that, then just don't count it. Let's see, let's get a quick little measurement. This is about 1 meter long, so I will change that to 1 meter. So here, we'll take a little look at that. There we go. Now we can see that those points are being trailed, which is very good. So that, let's put that into a frame. I press Control H instead of that. There we go. So now let's use a points to curves node, which is one of the best, one of the best nodes, because it just solved so many problems that we had. And now we can see that it's now tracing a line, which is very nice. Now there will be some issues if the claw goes out of the mesh and then goes back in. I think I have a way of fixing that in the future. We'll see if I can do that well, because I think... yeah, I think I have a way of doing that. I'll need to double check. But for now, we don't need to worry about it. Our main thing is just to get the main effect running, and then we'll do the bug fixes later. But we need to get some more data, because we didn't quite get everything that we needed in our raycast stage. We need the hit normal for the curve, so that when we mesh the curve, it all looks good. Let's go and actually showcase the error first before we do a solution. So curve to mesh. Let's go and do that, and we need this profile curve to be a curve line. There we go, let's set this so that it's x1, x-1, and 0y. So if we do this, we should see that now there's a plane being drawn here. And let me go and switch the material for this thing to be more of a darker, somewhat reflective, so that we can clearly see this part. We can see that they're being traced, and it looks like it's perfectly fine. But if we rotate said plane over, let's uncheck the keyframe, RY, then do this, we should see that there is a little bit of an issue, where these are only pointing straight up. We need those to be aligned with the surface. So to do that, we just need to do a few little edits to this part right here. So I'm going to use the capture attribute node, just so that we don't need to worry about the order of operations here. And we will store the is hit, hit position, hit normal, and we could potentially use the hit distance. I don't think that's fully needed. So we just want to store all of those right there. We want to plug that one into there, the hit position into there. And if you're wondering why we're capturing these, if we set the position the next time and then store the hit normal afterwards, it'll cause a recalculation with the raycast with the new position, the new source position. So we want everything to be just captured in that one point before anything else happens, and then just reference the data later. Okay, now let's use a store named attribute node, and then we will set that to be a vector and plug in the hit normal into there, and this will just be hit normal. Let's just call that normal. Nope. Keyboard is having some issues, not me. Totally not me. Okay, now that we have this, now that we have that normal stored on the points, and then as the points are converted to curves, we can use a set curve normal node, and then set this to be free. Store named, or reference the named attribute, and plug that into there, which should mean that this should work. Now, if you're in like an older version of Blender, where the set curve normal node doesn't have any of the free option, you can just go and have the curve line be like 0 and then displace it afterwards, but this is just more convenience. There we go, and as we can see, now all these are aligned with the normal, which makes me realize that I should have had this on the Y. There we go. Few edits, and now it's aligned. Now, there will still be a few issues, like if there's a very harsh cutoff like this, it won't perfectly align because, well, the geometry cannot perfectly align. So just keep that in mind. It's not too bad, and there are probably some ways that you can fix that. But I'm trying to make this as fast as possible. So there we go. That's looking very, very good. So now that we have that, how do we go and make it so that it looks like it's torn metal? Well, for that, I think we will displace the centerpiece. So what I plan on doing, well, yeah, I need to think about this just a little bit before I fully implement it. I'm going to have two two mesh line segments. So there will be split down the middle, and then according to the gradient, this part will fold up and this part will fold up like that. So let's go and implement that very quickly. Let's go and just use a join geometry node. We'll have two segments of the curve, or I could just go and use a transform geometry node to mirror it, which would be a lot simpler. Let's go and do a little test right here. As we can see, let's go and set that to be 0 or a little bit less. And we just want to scale this -1 on the y-axis. There we go. So now we have this mirrored, and then we need to capture the gradients so that we can then displace this later. So let's go and do that. We just want to store a named attribute, which is the, I don't know, I'll call this the y gradient because the x gradient would be on this part. There we go, profile curve, and this will be the spline parameter factor. There we go. Audio and all that okay? I just want to check. Oh, we're 12 minutes in already. I feel like I've done so little. But no, we've made some good progress. So this is the profile. There we go. Let me check the chat real quick. Good evening, sir. Hello. How's it going? Let's see. If you use parallax shader on the scratches, the effect will be insane. Yes, but it would. In this case, I won't be using it because parallax has been rather... It's not fully applicable in all scenarios, but that would be a good avenue. I will say that. I'm just not sure I want to do it in this case. So for here, I want to store some more gradients. So this will be the X gradient. This will be for like UV mapping or like UV mapping for the displacement later. So this will be the spline parameter factor again. I think that'll be good. But I think we may also need the length. So let's also store the X length. We won't need the Y length. Let's do this, and this will be the length. We'll still need to fix the issue where if the claws go out and then back in, where, here, let me do just a little example. We will fix this later, but I just want to mention it now for people following along. So if it does this, we will see that it'll go up and then snap to where the two segments do not recombine, which is what, should I do that right now? I think I feel like I should do that right now. Okay. Yeah, let's fix that one bug before going too far forward. Let's go and do this, do a simple like that. So here we can see it goes up and then it snaps like that. My kind of plan for that is to use the curve group ID, but then say, oh, if there's no hit or no particles in that current frame, then make an ID value go up so that we can say, hey, there wasn't one there, it's disconnected, go to the next index, which I think should be okay. So let's set this to be an integer value, and this will be just CID for curve ID, and the requirement for that will be the domain size of the point cloud. So if, here, let's go and put reroute here, the point count is less than 1, then that value will start going up once per frame. So here, so that if it goes off for one frame, it'll disconnect the curve and start a new line with all that. And I think that should work very well. So let me use an add node and do that, hide it. Here, let me swap the inputs just so that it looks a little bit better. And that should if I copy this value, put it over to here, put it in there, we should see that that works. So here, if we do that, and it works perfectly. Oh, I'm so happy about that. I don't know what's up with this one right here. I'm just going to assume that's because the animation went a little bit funky. Yeah, I'm just going to assume that's why. Or maybe... No, that should be good. Okay. So that fixes the disconnection error. Or it just never detaches. So there we go. Let's put that there and there. Then this will be trail particle. Wait, did I search that instead of... Okay, wait, what? Huh. Trail particle. It is not labeling that. Oh no, it is. It's just covered up by... another UI quirk. Yeah, no, it's covered up by the zone. Okay, that's... Ah, that's a little funky. That is a little bit funky. Okay, I think that may be worth mentioning to... Okay. So now we have that, and then we should have all the data that we need, and now we should be able to do some of the fancy stuff. I think maybe I should subdivide the curve and do some other stuff, but I think we're mostly okay. So we'll put that into a frame, and this will just be trail info. Trail info. There we go. So that should be good. Let me go and save, just in case we get any crashes. So let me go and delete those two keyframes, because since we fixed it, we don't need to go over it once more. So there we go. We have that. So now let's go and subdivide the profile and the main curve so that we can then use that displacement properly. And also maybe I should make an actual UV map based off the two gradients, but yeah, let's do this right. Okay, let's make a vector. Let's make this a UV map. So this needs to be a 2D vector on the face corner. Now 2D vectors in Blender don't... Like, this is technically being stored as a 2D vector, so the bottom part here just is not kept. But the UI does not show that. So this will be UV map. I'll just label it like Blender does. And then I can just go and take the X gradient and Y gradient, plug them, put them together, and then call it a day. Like, I could use the capture attribute node, but I cannot be bothered to string the spaghetti along, because that would be inefficient. Or no, it would look very, very cluttered. Okay, there we go. So now we have a UV map, and we can do whatever we want with that. Go. And it would be a bit less efficient. I could put this on the point domain, but Blender recognizes UV maps as just face corner 2D vectors, so I'm just gonna do that. Right over to there. So meshing curves with UVs. I really wish that we had a UV output right there, but apparently there are a lot of settings that would go into that, which is why it hasn't been added yet. But maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. I'm looking forward to when we get node groups that do a lot of the convenience parts so that we don't need to. Maybe that could be on the extensions page. But I don't think that supports node groups yet. Okay, so this will be mesh curve. There we go. Okay, now it's time for the fun part, which is actually displacing these curves and making it look like, you know, metallic scratches. And also we can set a material as well. Let's make a new material and assign it to these, so that'll be like that. I could make it match just that one so that blends in perfectly, which is probably a good idea in this case. Now, Blender does not have the concept of decals, which would be very useful at this time, especially with that parallax method. That would work out perfectly with this. But at this point, I'm just going to make it so that these are physically displaced pieces of geo. So here we have those two parts. I think that may be enough geo. We may need more, may need less, who knows. But now let's go and get a noise texture, and then we'll use that UV map attribute to go and play around with this. Oh, wait. Okay, no. I need to use the X length instead of the X gradient for the UV map. So I'm just going to go and do that, but we will need the X gradient for something, just not the UV map. because as the curve gets longer, we want the length to be accurate. So now that UV map is good, now we can use this to use a vector math multiply, plug that into there, let's set that to 1 so that we can just affect it very well. It needs to be a 2D vector for efficiency, and we don't need that third vector because the input is a 2D vector UV map. And then we can go and just start playing around with that. So let's go and use the factor to scale the hit normal, or I could just use the regular geometry normal. I think that would be okay. So if we do this, we should see that things get displaced. Oh, shoot. Wait a minute. Oh, shoot. Because that was scaled negatively. Can I make it so that it doesn't do that? Oh, dang it. This isn't really, really bad, but since it inverted the face... Well, actually, no, I can't just use a flip. No, flip faces would not work in this scenario. Oh, dang it, that's not great. I could use a flip faces node, but I really wish that just worked. Anyway, it looks like we'll have to rework this a little bit so that it doesn't, like, actually... No matter what I do, it would do the same thing, because the faces are just in one orientation. That is very unfortunate. I could just use the hit normal, which I think I will do for convenience sake. But I will need to keep that in mind that the other side, since it's mirrored, will have the faces pointed in the opposite direction, as we can see here. Oh no, it's the original. Or is it? So... yeah, I will need to keep that in mind, because that will lead to some shading issues in the future if I do not treat that. I could always do a little selection stored attribute and then just flip the faces according to that, which I think, yeah, let's do that now. Let's not hide the errors. It's all about bug fixing and all that fun stuff. As much as I wished I didn't have to do it, in this case we do. And the problem is not the kind of mirroring over here. If we just had another curve line that had these values mirrored, it probably would be the same just because of the index of the curve. So let's go and solve that, where we'll just have P2 for profile 2. That'll just be a checkbox. We put that right there. And then we have a flip faces node. And then we'll go and put the selection to be P2. So many things that you need to consider with all this. So many things. There we go. So now that should be accurate no matter what. Let's check the face orientation. And as we can see, it's looking very good. It's looking right. So face orientation, we can turn that off. And now for the noise displacement to make it actually work well. Okay, hit normal, and now we need to scale it according to the gradient, which I'm just going to use the Y gradient in this case to scale this. Please tell me, it's the exact opposite of what I wanted. So we'll just have to do a little thing like that. Wait, why did that not? Negative. Oh, for some reason it's not, I could just invert the factor here. It won't be too bad. So we'll just use a subtract node. We just want to have 1 subtracted by that, and that will invert the value. As we should see now, yes, it is now apparently working as intended. Let's go and do that, and then we can hide that, and then scale this down to what we want. But we may need a better curve, which means that I could just use a float curve, and then we don't even need the one subtract. Because we can go and just move this up, move this down, and affect the curve however we want. Now we can see it looks like that, and we can make it a lot more extreme, which is looking better. I guess I could, instead of just using the noise texture, I could also have just some general displacement, which would be good. But maybe I can save that for a little bit later. Because right now, the noise is only determining which parts are actually up and down, when I could make it a lot, affect more of it. Let's go and subdivide this more. Let's see. there, we can see the noise. We can take a look at that. Yep, it looks like metal is being scratched. But the normals are freaking out a little bit, so I think I may do a little bit of alpha blending, just so that it fades into there. Unfortunately, in geometry nodes, we cannot directly set the normal values, but the devs kind of plan on that, for that to come in the future. They mentioned that when they added the free mode to the set curve normals, so we'll see when that comes along. Let's have this as the noise texture. I'm still wondering. Yeah, okay, let's go and make it so that the noise just adds to this part. And I'll subtract by 0.5 to undo the normalization. I don't want to check that box because then I would have to do the same thing over there, so I'm just doing it the not lazy way, but necessary way. So here we go. Now we have the metal that's kind of sliced up a little bit. And I could go and make it so that this part is a little bit wider, which is looking a little bit better. But there's a little bit of a problem with this setup, which is that, well, we kind of need it to start closed off and then it gets wider as it goes along. Which shouldn't be too difficult to do, because I can just say, hey, if the length is under a certain value, start off very closed, and at the end also make it closed off. Just don't know how much. Oh, I could use the hit distance for that. Yeah, okay, I knew I stored that for a reason. So let's go and get all the data in there. Let's move this over, and then let's use hit distance. And this will need to be a little bit interesting, because I could just store the hit distance there. But that means that once it gets towards the end, it would be a value of 1, but I want it so that the deeper it goes in, the wider it gets. So here it will be something very little, and up here it will be a wide slice to that. And also, I need to have a material on the inside to make it look like there is something underneath. So I think that would be just a single strip of geometry with a black material on it. I think that would work pretty much perfectly. But I will do that in a quick second. So here I'm going to make it so that the hit distance will be the ray length minus the hit distance. So in this case, I think it should work pretty well. So there we go. Or I could make it so that it's divided by that. That may be better. So I can subtract that by that and then divide it by the actual length. So if that's 2, yeah, that could probably work. And I could make this work per object, but let's just have a value here for the ray length, and then it'll plug into both there and there. You know, just a couple logic things just to make it all right. I think that's pretty good. I think we covered most of the possible issues in this case. So yeah, that's going to be the length of whatever slicing object we have. It could be a sword, it could be some Wolverine claws, whatever we want. Very nice. Again, we're using Blender 4.2, so if you're like, oh, what, there may be some missing nodes, it's because of that. Okay, we have 30 people here. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope this is educational. It should work very, very well. I may need to edit a few things. I want the noise to be around 6. But it doesn't seem like we have enough geometry for that detail level. So if I do that, we get more detail there, but that doesn't seem to be contributing too much. Let's do that. It's a little bit more, and we could do even more if we want. But now I want to set the radius of the curve to look better. So this setup is becoming rather large to do something that some people might say is simple. But in this case, I would say, you know, this isn't the most trivial thing, and I could make node groups to make this a lot easier to work with. But I think in this case, it's a relatively okay size, but maybe it would be better to put some of these into node groups to make it easier to work with. So we have that. Let's use a set curve radius. Yeah, that'll work. And then we can use the x length, and then use a map range or something along those lines to make it look right. So here we can see, oh no, we don't want the length, we want the depth. So we can see there that it is getting bigger, but we want the hit distance. And this should be normalized because of what we did over there. That should work out very well. Because, yeah, that should be correct, I think. Okay, let's go and take a look at that. And what does this look like? And we can set limits if we want. Oh, that's actually looking very nice. I will need to also make it so that the depth also contributes to how high it is. So let's go and set this to be like 0.5 so that we can get to the maximum. I don't want it to get to maybe 0.25. And then we set that to be something... Actually, no, 0.5 seemed to be good. Then we can dial that in. And then we can use the hit distance to determine how far the normal does its thing. So we can add that in last over here, lug that in, so that it'll just contribute to all that. So here we should see that the slices should be looking very, very nice. Like, look at that. That's looking very good. Now, I will need to make it so over here the parts are closed off, but that shouldn't be too difficult to do. It would just be like, oh, maybe I should store just the total length of the curve. But that's probably not entirely necessary. But here we can see that's looking very good. Let me save this, because I haven't done that enough. And Eevee Next has crashed, like, OBS, Blender, and the Windows Explorer multiple times on stream in the past. So, we need to play this safe. So here we can see that's just looking pretty good. The only real fault is this part not blending perfectly into there, which I can, again, just use an alpha blend and that should be okay. In terms of doing a little bit of balancing, I do want more of the noise to happen, but I want to make sure it doesn't clip into itself. I think that's okay. I think that's good. Just getting sliced. Okay, that part's good, and I need one last thing for this. I need to make node groups for all these because this is becoming rather abysmal in terms of size. So yeah, let's start off with you. Now, these node groups will not be for generalization. These will be very specific to this setup, but I'm just getting very annoyed with how big this is becoming. So node, let's use a make group, and then we'll just keep that all in here. In the future, the Blender devs plan on making like local groups where they just, you know, just for organization, exactly like what this scenario is supposed to be. But for the time being, this is what we have to do. So this will be noise displace, slice noise displace. So noise displace, and then this will be, here, let's do all that. That should be good. And then this will be slice curve to mesh. Add node, make group. Like, I don't like doing this because it's more difficult for people to follow along. But maybe, I don't know. Actually, chat, is it better to have node groups like this so that you can clearly see, like, what stage happens when? Or is it worse because you can't see everything at once? And then we could have... I think that part's fine. Like these two are like that, and then for that part, that's the... Do I go into there? Or no, yeah, this would be the trail section. So that part will be another node group. Make group, we're just condensing this a lot to make it better. So trail hit points. And I guess I could make this, why do I keep spelling slice that way? Brains on autopilot. And then for the last part here, I could, yeah, let's make this just a little bit more general. So we can just have a location and all that be an input. So rotation, location, that should be okay. Okay, so node, make another group. And as we can see, that's looking pretty, I don't know why the orders of all these keep getting messed up. That started in, I forgot what Blender version, but then before we didn't have that issue all too much. Or maybe that was just because of how I had it set up. Yeah, no, that's because of how I had it set up. Never mind. And then this will just be collision geo. We'll realize instances, and that should be good. But if it's already realized, will that cause an issue? Okay, no. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. So this is slice. Keep spelling slice wrong. Slice hit points. There we go. So here we go. As we can now see, this has been severely reduced and much cleaner. And I like that quite a bit. Like, look how clean this looks now. And then the only part that we don't have combined is that part, but maybe I can put that into there and that would be good. I think that may be a good idea. Yeah, no, this is a better workflow. I'm just worried that people will be like, "Oh, wait, where was this part? Where was that part?" Hello, Caramel. Are you doing Wolverine scratches? Yes, I am. I saw the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and I thought it was pretty good. Quite a few of the cameos went over my head, and a lot of the references, but it was enjoyable. It was fun. But yeah, I needed some inspiration because I've been, you know, I've been burnt out. I've been rather burnt out in the past couple of weeks. I've been working on a lot of very cool stuff, but unfortunately, that stuff can't be shared. But yeah. There we go. So now let's add in the back plate for this, and I could use the curve to mesh thing in here, but actually, yeah, I could just combine that into there and then set the material. Yeah, no, that could work. So instead of having a second... No, wait, no, I shouldn't do that. I need a separate line of geometry. And then I could put a UV map on there. So here's the problem. The back plate. The void that's back here. I need to do a curve to mesh for that. But the problem is, since there's only one line of geometry going out there, it could lead to an issue. But I could just make two, and that would be good. Let's see, let's go and do that, and then I can just have another curved line. I don't need a UV map for this because I plan on it being just a black emissive material, so it'll just be a void behind it. I just need to make sure that it is the size of this part, or maybe a little bit smaller, for it to be good. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay, let's do that, and then we'll have just two parts, so this will be back, or this will just be void. And then we can have, nope. One thing that I keep doing, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Also, it being inside node groups is a little bit funky when you keep wanting to switch between one and the other. Anyway, so we have that, and we can set this to material 02. I'll label this void, and this will be metal. So, metal. So with void, we're just going to make it so that it is emissive, and we will set the shading to be just black entirely. So here we have that. We'll connect that to the output over here. Yeah, let's just put it up here, just simplicity's sake. The radius is being accounted for, and yeah, that should be good. And then it will be the lower part just for simplicity's sake. So that's void. Void is working well, and we'll just join that after the fact. So join geometry, and then we will also label this void geo. So here we can see that it is mostly working, but there's a slight issue, which is float point precision errors. And you may be wondering, wait, why is that happening? That is just because the surfaces are so close that Blender does not know which is coming first. So as the pixels go along, some think that they're below, some think that they're above, and they're just freaking out entirely. So we can go and fix that by displacing the curve just a little bit above the surface, which I think I will do back here. We'll just do a little step, set position, and we just need named attribute. This will be hit normal, and we will scale that by just the tiniest amount. Just enough so that the error will not be an issue. So here we can see that, boom, that is no longer an issue, and these are looking very, very good. And they're 3D, look at that. You don't see too many of those that are 3D. I should mention, of course, this can be 2D with a parallax material, which is a good idea, but I wanted to make this, this particular version, truly 3D. Like, look at that. Something that could be, like, exported as an alembic and brought into other programs and stuff like that. Now, there is a slight issue there. Oh, wait, no. That's because a little bit of Z fighting when it comes to the void there. So I want to make the void a little bit smaller than that. So I'll set that to negative 0.9 and 0.9. So that there. Switch the sign. Should see... Nah, I should just raise that part up a bit more. Yeah, I'll just move this up by a little bit, physically. Because it should be a little bit higher anyway. So I'll just have, since we're already doing a lot of the calculations here, I'll just fit that into this setup, just as a final stage. Final shape. There we go. Let's set this to 0.0001 so that the Z phi... Come on, buddy. Oh, wait. I did not connect it. So let's set that to be a little bit less, and we can see it's mostly gone. I'm going to assume that that little bit right there is because the noise is trying to put it down into there, which I guess I could show a technique to avoid the noise going down. Okay. So this would just be Z fix. Z fighting fix. There we go. And I could also... Oh, there are two scratches overlapping, which is causing that to happen. We can't really avoid that, even if they were decal style. That would just be a draw thingy. That part is good. Let's move this over. So this is the intensity. That is just the hit distance determining that. So to make it so that the noise cannot go down, I need to remember how to do this properly. We need to get the hit normal and dot product between the two. So dot product, and then I believe I need to add according to scaled version. It's been a hot minute since I've done this, so I need to remember how this is done. This should make it so that it cannot go down or up. It'll only be side to side. Or maybe this made it so that it'll only be... Okay, this is only side to side now. There we go. That looks pretty cool. And also, we could give it a random seed so that the noise is offset and all that good stuff. And I'll do that in the near future. But here we go. That's just so that the noise cannot go up or down. Or, yeah, I can't go up or down, but I could use a max or min. Make it so that it will only go up. Let me go and test this. Is it going down? Yes, it's only going down, so this needs to be a minimum. So now it can go only up or to the side. It cannot go down. So I know that setup is a little bit confusing, but it's what you have to do. Dot products and all that good stuff. Wait a minute, I feel like I'm... Oh wait, no, I could just scale this. But... No, I messed something up. No, that... Oh, wait. Oh, wait, I would need to... Okay, so it would be the same amount of nodes either way. I would need to normalize both of them and then apply the scale according to how far it is. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Caramel, what do you do for a living, if you don't mind sharing? My living is just Blender. Most of my work is done in either Blender, Unreal, a little bit of Houdini. I haven't... my work doesn't involve me fully having to commit to Houdini yet. But geometry nodes has been an integral part of all of that, and that's why I do it so much. It's literally given me my livelihood. So that's why I keep doing it. It keeps paying. If Houdini paid better, I would be using Houdini, but for now, geometry nodes is paying me very, very well. Okay, so this is limit Z offset. Yeah. Or height, because it's not technically Z. Well, locally it's Z. Okay, so limit height offset. I feel like there is a simpler way of doing this, but I am blanking on it. I think this is the simplest way, and I could hide the minimum. That's just... Yeah, that's good enough. So, to explain what this does, the dot product says, oh, it compares two vectors and then says, oh, are their orientations similar or different? It's kind of like a local space thing. So this is saying, oh, how far is this? What's the height local to the hit normal? And then in this case, we limit it, and then we scale it, and then we subtract it. So it'll say, hey, if the noise is going like 0.3 meters down, this says, oh, that's 0.3 meters. And then we just subtract that, so that goes in the opposite direction. I hope I explained that well. Okay, my voice is going a little bit, which I'm 46 minutes, not too bad. I'm surprised it's going this early. Maybe I just need some water. Let's see. So that part's good. The only part that we really need to fix now is this part right here. I could potentially try to make it so that this leads the curve by a little bit, but I don't think that doesn't feel like the best idea. But it might be. Let me save this once again. Okay, last thing that we really, really need to do. What do we need to do? We can add in more of that. Height is different. Do we even need that part right now? It feels like we do, but maybe it could be just regular. That looks okay. 3. The less we need to rely on more inputs, the better. Yeah, that's looking all right to me. Yeah, it's giving... Yeah, the height's still random. Okay, so we're just gonna be not using the factor input, which means that we can uncheck the normalize and then do that. So we're eliminating nodes and making this much easier to work with. Nice, so this is height, and then limit height offset, limit noise height offset, but you know what I mean. And I'll just label this noise. There we go, mesh to curve, all that, and that's just the actual height. So just influence, I think. Influence, intensity, one of those two. And then this will be distance offset, distance factor. There we go. C fighting, fix, and then that should be all good. Okay, so this setup is looking very, very nice now that I put it into groups. But it just feels, I like seeing everything in one go rather than having to go inside of groups. Okay, Z fighting fix. Go. Let's just go and do that. Organize the nodes. Always organize your nodes, even while you're working, because it just makes things so much easier to work with. If other people are going to be looking at your node setups, they will appreciate it a lot if you just organize them. So in the past, I've dealt with node groups that are not too clean, and they are very annoying to work with. Benefit of nodes versus code is that, well, it's very It's very easy to tell what's happening at a glance. We need to take full advantage of that. Okay. Well, that's looking good. What do we need to do? Oh, the randomization. Okay. So I should store a random value per point according to a seed value. So I could go and put that into the slice hit points thing. Just have a seed value that we input from the group inputs. I think that is a good idea. And that'll have a random value and just a random index. So store named attribute, we'll have 2 more of these. This will be random, so that we can offset the noise, the UV map, whatever we want. Then 1, that is just the ID. And it won't be like the set ID value, it will just be regular. Okay, let's have, yeah, this will be seed. There we go, that's a bit better. So that'll be seed, value 0, and this will be a random value, and we will just, that did not automatically transfer. That'll be a float, and we'll put that into there. Nope, we want that into there. Okay, that was a little bit funky, but there we go. So that's just storing a bit more data, necessary data, that we can do more with what we have. So this will be seed. Default will be 0. We'll go and feed this into the inputs. Now it is 1 singular value, but it is once, well, maybe in the future we'll want more than just 1 point, but we'll see about that. We will see. Also could have a random radius for this, using noise or something along those lines, but it's not fully necessary. Actually, I'm starting to think that I may need to add in the noise, the float noise offset again. That or just this part needs to be increased. That part needs to be increased while this part is decreased by a little bit. Yeah, that's looking alright. So here we just have that. It's being sliced. It's looking good. Now, finally, I will fix that radius thing. Now, I could have an age value for how long the points have been existing, which could be a good idea. I could make that in seconds or in frame value. Delta time. I'm still unsure whether or not I should be using delta time all the time, because sometimes it can be annoying to work with. Okay, so radius multiply. Let's see, let me think about this. So the hit distance, we have that. I want this to be the length, and I could make it the age, or I could make it just if it's the curve endpoint. I'll just say, hey, if it's not the endpoint, just have a scale of 0. There we go. But that doesn't feel quite right, you know? Feels like it's closed off too quickly. But I could go and blur set value. And this is probably a very bad idea. So here we can blur it by 2 times, but I still want it closed off at the end. And also, I'm now wondering, should I make it so that this part leads? I could do that just by taking the tangent on this end and then moving it forward a bit. Just so that it'll lead from the start point, but that could lead to some inaccurate parts and all that stuff. Potentially. Actually, wait a minute. This part's good because this keeps it open as it goes off the end. So that part I'm still okay with. But if it goes out, then the hit distance will probably go to 1 or something low. So that's probably okay too. So let's go and try this part out and see how it looks. Claws are scratching, and then they go down there. That's looking alright. Now there is just this error, which it's always going to be like that. We can't really fix that all too well. Again, this is not a decal. I could try doing a shrink wrap pass where it just looks up and then projects back down with the actual geometry, but it will never be like 100% accurate, because usually you just won't have enough polygons to like be one-to-one with that. Even though I am really considering doing another raycast to fix that. But for flat surfaces, it's okay. In curved surfaces, it should be okay. So maybe I'll just ignore it. I think in this case, it's not fully necessary. Maybe we just need to raise it up a bit. Like, I can offset the centerpiece, the center point, so that it won't be too apparent then. And it's part of the void, so yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. Nice, easy solution for that. Because you don't need to solve for everything, even though I have just a compulsion to always do that. Solve for every single possible scenario. Leave nothing behind. Could also do the radius in post, which is probably... yeah, that's probably better. Let's go and take another look. Yeah. In this part... here, let's go and turn that down by a bit. We set that to be there, that's like that. Well, I want the weight to be like that. Not that. There we go. Okay, that's better. So now it will... okay, just put that into there and there. There we go. There we go. That fixes quite a bit. We can either offset the void part. This is radius. Go. Let's move this part over to here. Go. This over to there. And then for this part, we can just subdivide the line and then move the inside part up by a bit. So subdivide, curve, set position, and then we'll make the selection be not endpoints. So that, not, go, put that into there, boom, 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 lug that into there, and then we could just make this offset a little bit higher. There we go. There we go. That fixes it beautifully. Look at that. Look at that. Now, I am a little bit worried. No, that should be fine. There we go. Solutions. Just raise it a bit up in the middle. Ooh, yeah, we can put that up here. Hold on. Selections are being a little bit funky. There we go. That's looking very, very nice. I'm curious to see what happens if you double cross in an X direction. That, well, they won't slice into each other because we're not doing actual booleans. So when they, if/when they overlap, they will just clip into each other. Simply because, again, I'm not sure how we would properly solve for that. Like, how do you make it so that the two parts cut into each other and only show void instead of this part? Like, I could have the curves still be output geometry, like output the curve into there so that we, or just join it into there so that we still have the curves there, and say, hey, if the two curves overlap by a bit, then delete the sheath part but only keep the void. That is, I'm not sure about that. It may be possible, but it would not, it wouldn't look movie ready, shall we say. Okay, let's also go into the displacement section. And this is the spaghetti. It's only 3 nodes. How can there be spaghetti? Okay, let's go into the noise displacement, and we need to add in the randomness to here. So here we'll use a vector math node, use the random value, multiply it by an absurd amount, and then we just go and plug that into there. So now, here, as we can see now, these are all being offset by different points. So now these are all randomized, and they will not look the same. Here we go. And another thing that I haven't mentioned all too much, or haven't mentioned at all, is that since we have those hit points, we could do a bit more. We don't have to limit this to only have trails. Since we have that hit point, we can do whatever we want. We can add in sparks. Which, seeing as we're at 1 hour, almost, This effect is pretty much done. It's very, very close to being done. Maybe I'll save that for part 2. I've done so many particle systems in the past. Maybe I'll just use the one that I had previously. Like, we just have a point, we just set the radius to 0 so that won't be visible, and then we just plug that into the output. So we have the points, sparks will start from there. Yeah, I can just use my other particle system for that. That might be better. That may be better. You just separate the point cloud so that it doesn't calculate the curves or the mesh, then you do that. But also, again, set point radius to 0 so that it's not visible. Because in the past, since before in EV Legacy, point clouds just weren't rendered. And even now, they're just, they're the preview render, they're just the mesh version. Which leads to some interesting side effects, like actually being able to vector, shader displace points, which you can't do in cycles, which I was it was very interesting to find that out. But just set these to 0, they'll still exist, but you just won't be able to see them, so other parts can reference it, or we could just make it so that the simulation is just in here, so that we only output the stuff that is visually needed, which could be a good idea. I think that may be the best way of doing it. Because right now, these are already in global space, like the objects are at 0, 0, 0. And then, yeah, no, we could make this all one thing, so I could use my particle simulation system, and then it would just work. Which, this is the old one. Okay, we will try this. New particles include only on start. Let's go and just showcase a little bit of this. So the velocity will be the hit normal. This one does not use delta time, because again, it is old. Okay, why am I not seeing hit normal? Come on, buddy. Hit normal. Vector. Plug that into there. We scale to whatever we want. Add in some randomness. We also want to duplicate set points. Duplicate elements. I need to update this to use delta time, because that's something that I really just keep annoying myself by just being like, I should have started out with that. Okay, let's try this out. So now we can see particles are being flown out. There is no gravity, and this is like 9.1 divided by 24, divided by 24. That should give gravity, I think. Yeah, that looks like gravity to me. Then we set this to be a low value. And we also need to add in the seed value to the frame value, so that this will be different per one. Named attribute, come on. There we go, okay, so it is still listed. Let's go and take a look. As we can see, yep, it's happening. We now have those, and then we can instance stuff on those particles. We don't need that part there, or even the curve, because, well, we just don't need those to be referenced anymore. So instance, particle instance. There we go, we still have that. Okay, good. Instance, what should this be? This could be whatever I want, but I think I'll choose an icosphere. Turn it to an instance. Geometry to instance, there we go. And now we should see scale, parameters. Let's go and bring this down by a lot. And velocity orient. There we go. So here, just a very simple, using my particle system. Always turn off temporal reprojection. Oh, we're not even using ray tracing. I didn't even notice. Even though the ray tracing in EV Next is a bit noisier than it was in Legacy. So here we can set the material, do all kinds of fun stuff. I should randomize the velocity. But that's just a look into what is possible. And also for the collision geometry, I can also add that to be collision surface. Here we should see it is completely ignoring it. Oh, I need to enable collision. Boy. And we can see that those are having a bad day because technically they're colliding into said surface. which leads to other refactors that I have to do, like joining in the particles. Oh wait, no, these are already joined in last. Okay, I just need to offset the particles by a bit by the hit normal. So set position, hit normal, scale it by a tiny amount just so that it doesn't clip into geo. Plug it there. Should now see that they're still colliding. Why? Okay, there may be some issues with the particle system. No, why? That should not be happening. Maybe. Oh wait, the velocity I think is making it think that it was before there, and then it's yeah. Okay. Yeah, the old particle system needs some work. And also, if you're wondering why they're bouncing up, that's because this is not a solid object. So whenever it goes off a plane like that, it has some issues. So yeah, I'll need to work on that, but it is possible. Auto smooth. There we go. Now we should see that it is mostly working. But yeah, let me just simplify this because that's for part 2. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's turn off collision. Go. We didn't even need self collisions for that part. There we go. So now we have that, and particles can shoot off of it if needed. But that's for another time. Alright, thank you all for watching. I think that is it for today. Yeah. Let's see. Let's read the chat once again. Let's Control S. You can use cyclic spline for a continuous round tear and sample surface normal to connect the shader normal node for clean shading. Well, I do have the surface normal. The problem is that we can't directly set the normal. We would have to kind of replace it in the shader. So we can do that. I can just say that, oh yeah, I haven't even worked on the shader at all. Maybe, okay, we can extend this for a little bit, because right now they're both using the same material, which, you know, is rather ideal. I could even sample the UV map and put it on the particle. So if there's a pattern, it'll sample from there, but it wouldn't be accurate entirely. But these should have a custom material that's like the surface that you're trying to make it on, because there's just no scenario where it'll always match. Like maybe I could have it so that it refracts the surface or something along those lines, but that's not a good idea. For here, it looks almost correct, and I could have noise to affect the width so that it, you know, we don't see this very obvious straight line, but we don't entirely need to. Here, let's go over a little bit of that since I have time. Nope, not void. Dang it. And also simulation caches, when you control Z, sometimes you need to make them update. Let's have this be metal, copy it, so it'll be metal 01, switch this to be metal 01. Let's go into the shader editor and look at some other attributes that I did not go over. Gradient Y. Let's take a look at gradient Y. Oh, Y gradient. Y gradient. Probably should have had it as gradient Y or X instead of Y. Yeah, I may need to fix that. There we go. So now we can make it so that the parts that are bright fade into alpha, which I will now demonstrate. So map range. Let's go and take a look at this. Set it to be 0.5 and 0. So that actually, wait. 0 and... Oh, no, wait, I keep forgetting that these ones are semi-inverted. Okay. There we go. We have that, and we can blend that into nothing. So let's set this from dither to blended alpha, and then plug Eevee next. Come on, Eevee next. The shaders are supposed to have faster compilation times in Eevee next. Here we can see that it is more apparent because the void part right here is very visible. So I could just shrink the void section, or I can alpha blend on that as well. Which maybe, yeah, maybe I should. Changing it to alpha blend will... Wait, what? That's weird. Where was I? I'll ping pong this because it's not mirrored. So we just want a gradient that is similar to what we had. 0. Here. Oh, dang it, I didn't assign a Y gradient to that one. Let's go and fix that real quick. We just need to go and take you, copy, paste right in there. There we go. Shader editor. So now we should see that that now exists. I ping pong it so that we can get that middle gradient easily. Here we can see that's like that. And now we can use a transparent BSDF. And then put that into there, swap the inputs, connect it to the outputs. And then we should see that that is now looking better. So now it does blend. Blends quite well. This is dithered when it should be blended. When it's dithered, that means that it's like cycles where it just, you know, noise dithers everything. Dang it, I was worried about that. Where's the pass? Oh, wait. Yeah, pass index. So, little issue. The void is just being rendered first. Why? I thought the pass index would fix that. You know what? Just switch it to dithered. It's not, the town's not big enough for 2 dithered materials. So yeah, and we just blend that out there. There we go. That's looking good enough for me. And there are other ways to make this better, but that's just what we have. And also, I should mention, as the one person in chat said, you could put a parallax material on just one part of the geometry. Wrong editor. You could just have like the void geo and then just put whatever texture you want on there. Because yeah. Let's just have a bit of fun with this. Let's do the shader aspect as part of the second hour. So UV map. Let's set this to be... If the music is too loud, please let me know. We have switched songs because I've been going for so long. 2 dimensions, and I could also pull the random attribute. That's the beauty of... And of course the void does not have a UV map. I am kicking myself in the rear over that. So it looks like we will have to copy a bit of that in this. So yeah, we need to copy it, let's just copy it. So X length is already stored. That goes into the curve to mesh with UVs. It would be nice if that were just an output. And then you can store the length if you wanted to multiply it by the length, like that. I think that would be a good general solution. That would be good. Convenience. It would be extremely convenient. Okay, so now we have noise texture, and we can make that affect the width part here. Yeah, okay, let's try that out a little bit. So let's have that be a map range part. We can make that affect, let's use a greater than. Greater than first. And also, I almost forgot a vector math. Set to multiply, set this to 1. There we go. So here we can see it's already doing a little bit of slicing, and even that looks good. Like, I am still very particular to the 3D nature of it, but it still doesn't look bad. Does not look bad. And that should be 0.5 by default. We could just, yeah, Yeah, that's looking okay. So that's the decal method. It looks good, and there could be some bump map stuff happening there. Like just have the metal, and then we race it up using a bump map. Which actually, I'm starting to warm up a lot more to that idea. Down. Expecting it a bit too much. Oh wait, no, I was modifying the wrong thing. We want this to be... There we go. That's a bit better. We want this to be like that, but let's lower it that so that... Yeah, that's good. So you could do that, and this could also be for like paint, brushes, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It could be. Just putting... So in 1 hour, which is a long time, that's the setup for having a point, leave a trail, have the trail have a UV map, and have a texture. This could be, like, the decal method is a lot simpler, and in hindsight, would probably be better for, like, like, close-ups. But yeah, that is one method. Let's go back and show the full effects. Like, yeah, I am still biased towards the full 3D version. Just neat. Let's go. Let's see, 0.75. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, like I really like just seeing that. And then we could still have a material that, yeah, let's go and play around with it just a little bit more. Actually, for the, wrong one. Let's go back in time. This will be UV map. Then take a look at this. Yeah, the UV map's okay. Now, technically, this will be mirrored on both sides, but since we do have the Profile 2 attributes, we could go and randomize both sides, and then have that for, like, a bump map, and do a lot of other fun stuff. So I will do that just a little bit more, and then we'll call that a day. I hope you all have enjoyed. P2 does not need to be vector. That one is just a float. Float is 1 value, vectors are 3. Or they could be stuff other than 3, but, you know, semantics. In Blender, vectors are 3. And only in rare cases 2. Let's let this cook because, an Eevee next is heavy. Or... It feels heavier than Eevee Legacy. Even though it's probably not the case. But that's actually looking pretty good. Makes it look like it's actually crumpled. Huh, I honestly did not expect that to look so good. Even though now it's looking less like... Like, I think the problem is with this, we can see it fold out so much that it's looking more like... I guess sheet metal? Oh, wait a minute, I can give the metal thickness. Forgot about that. I could extrude this part to actually give it some... I should have done that first. I really should have done that first. Just take the inside part here and then just extrude it. I could still do that. But yeah, I'm going to lower the blending between when it's 0 and then when it's that. And then, yeah. And also, I should mention, you could always adjust the claws to move them a bit more where they should be. There we go. So let's go geonodes, do a few little edits. This is still technically pass 1, when usually when you make effects you want to do like 3 passes before you call it done. Okay, that's a little bit better, but let's yeah, that's looking good. I could still make it so that there's a little bit of warble after the fact, but that doesn't feel all too necessary. So let's use an extrude mesh node, set it to not be individual because that would probably lag a ton. And let's restrain this a lot. Oh god. So that's, while it is looking good. And we need to set this to be 0. And then make the edges, that one edge, sharp. So we want to set position, everything that is not the top. So with this, I think we may be able to offset that by the normal. And we'll need to capture that. Yeah, there's still quite a bit that needs to be done. Oh wait, wrong thing. Okay, that part's working, and we need to capture the normal. Capture attribute, normal. Oh, can't do that. Yeah, we're getting into the weeds with this part. We're going for a bit too long. Let's go and scale this. You need to capture the normal beforehand because it just gets a little bit wrecked after that. So yeah, and then you just need to mark sharp on the end parts. Yeah. A little bit of thickness, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, and then set shade smooth. And then edge, set that to be not that, and we need that to be that. I don't think that's working. I need to find the correct selection. If it's both that and that, then we set... Ah, there we go. That works. Nice. Nice. There we go. Metal is now thick. 1.5. There we go. And now, shader editor, let's make the metal look a bit more robust. Because it's looking, the folds are making it look a little bit flimsy. Well, I want it to be detailed, but not look, again, flimsy. We can always make that fade out. Longer, like 4, I think. We could just do much more of that. Yeah, we can do some more, but I think that's looking pretty good. Though I think it may be time to set the radius, to vary the radius a bit with noise. But that would be another level of complexity. Wait, is that going out instead? Oh no, that's just alpha blend being annoying. So let's go and change it to be dithered. Everything in EV Next is dithered, so yeah, and it's actually not looking bad. No, it's mostly okay. So yeah, that's that. So I feel like the metal is just a hair too thick. Yeah, and we can make this faster. Let's speed up the animation. We can set that to 0.5. There we go. And let the cache redo itself. There, that's looking good. So some sparks will add in some nice stuff. You know, the actual energetic parts, because, you know, when Wolverine, you know, slices into something, there's always sparks. So just a little spark simulation is needed. I'll go and pull that from one of my other projects. Then we can call it a day, I think. Look at that. Looking good. Again, this could be a parallax material if you want, but I just like seeing the actual slices in three-dimensional space. Okay, let's do one last read of the chat before we go. Look at that, that's looking so nice. Let's save this, and it's rather fast, I think. Because it's not using a boolean. Booleans are slow as hell, and they never work. They always glitch out for stuff like this. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. 1 hour with a live chat session and explanations and feedback kind of justify a very acceptable hourly rate, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm kind of I like working fast because, you know, I want to do stuff other than Blender during my day. But, yeah, I would say that this is a good time for an effect like this. It's not exactly simple. Like, I chose the difficult version. If this was just, hey, make a particle ray cast, trail it, and then put a decal on it, that would probably chop off 30 minutes off of this. But I wanted the 3D-ness. I wanted it to look great. And also, this looks like it could be, you know, potentially a game asset. Like, just go plop that in your scene, all good. You know, not dynamically, but yeah. And another good thing, well, and I could make a version where instead of it being like only one per object, because this is looking at object origins and then doing the raycast, I could have an object that is edges, and it'll use the edge to say, oh, where should I fire to, and then that would be where the slices hit. So I could generalize this so that it will just have as many slices as you want on one object. It'll just say, okay, here's the edge length. Let's take the tangent of that edge, see how long that edge is. Did it hit? Okay, make a point. Okay, point exists. Then go and trail it. Okay, trailed, do everything else. So, yeah, looking good. Also, I do want to try one other thing. This is going to be really dumb, but the animation, you know, is lacking a ton. So I'm going to go and make it freak out. Let's go to the rotation and add in some noise. See how that goes. Normalize. Let's take a look. Boom, boom. Set it to be 2. Take a look. So this is the earthquake monitor. It's actually holding up a bit better than I was expecting. You know, that's absolutely terrible. You never want it to cross over itself when it's doing that, but that's actually not the worst. I've seen much worse when it comes to this kind of procedural stuff. Let's go change the offset. Here we can see. Yeah, that's not the worst. Let's go and do that. Maybe I shouldn't have it as the rotation. Maybe I should have it as the location that is freaking out. Copy that, X. Now, there's some weird things with the Blender like animation noise modifiers. Yeah, they're modifiers, but they're very limited. Like you can't animate so much of this. You can't animate any of this, which is very odd. Which is very limiting for animation things I want to do. But I guess it kind of makes sense because if you were to animate this, where would this live? But I would assume that there's a solution for that, like, oh, you just switch it from being objects to the noise modifiers. Because being able to do some of that would be very, very useful. Scale, let's set that to be 0.2, strength 1. It did not reset. There we go. Okay, there. That's funny. Let's set this to be 0.05. And now let's make this go. And that was too slow. Oh no, I forget the scale in here is different than noise scale. There we go. Now we have something a bit bigger. Yeah, look at that. It's holding up better than I expected. Now, we don't have, like, substeps or anything like that, which would need, like, interpolating the object positions and stuff like that. But it's good enough. 1 frame, all that's needed. Yeah, there we go. Let's go and X out of that so that we can see just the regular animation. And it shouldn't matter how fast this moves. Or, no, it will matter. Because, again, lack of substeps, but as we can see, it's looking pretty good anyway. There will be less geometry for it to do its thing, but you can always resample the curve beforehand. Okay, that is good. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.